I was tappered in my back. What the hell happened? What the hell happened? I was doing the stream. The stream was going okay. And then, bam, gone. And I'm like, wait a minute, what's taking place? I have Wi-Fi, meaning I have internet access. I can see all of the tweets, all of the comments, and yet there is no connection at all. It is the most bizarre thing. God, that's so bizarre. That's completely bizarre. I don't know if the stream is going to just pick up where it left off, but maybe I should just start the stream over. It's our Jamarl here with the t-shirt. Jamarl, the aliens have landed in Merlin. Oh God, he's back. Jamarl needs to check his butt in case the aliens of. Oh God, you've got Jones. See, I was thinking I've got tappered. I was thinking I got tappered. I was like, I got tappered. Jake Tapper has connections in tech companies, and they're fucking with me. That's an awesome shirt. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hello, jerk. I think this is an awesome shirt too. This is a badass shirt. At least I think so. At least I think so. I'm going to start this video over. No, I'm not going to start this video over because I got to be honest. I don't fully remember what I said in the other video when I started my intro. So I'm going to start it from here, just the basics. Jake Tapper does a hit video. In that video, Jake Tapper says stuff that Bernie Sanders and Ocasio Cortez does not say. And from that, he goes into this thing of, see, Bernie Sanders and Ocasio Cortez are not telling you the truth. I'm Jake Tapper. I'm telling you the truth. Look at this face. This is a newsman's face. Of course I'm telling you the truth. The problem is Jake Tapper was making a standard that Bernie Sanders and Ocasio Cortez never set. Not just that, Jake Tapper was called on this. I've said before, I've wondered whether Jake Tapper was lying or incompetent ever since he had that conversation with Tulsi Gabbard. And Tulsi Gabbard went to Syria, came back, and essentially said, we are arming terrorists. We're arming rapists. There are killers, bloodthirsty killers and rapers in those villages that we are arming with our tax dollars. That's what we're doing over there, Jake. We're trying to undermine the Assad government. That's what we're doing. We need to stop. That's what those kids and those women told me. Jake Tapper reflexively, blah, 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 blah. The government says we're not doing that. The government says we're not doing that. The point I made in the last video that I'm probably going to delete at this point because I have no idea where that video stopped. Is your job to tell the truth? Or is your job to be stenographer? Which one is it? Are you a stenographer or are you telling the public the truth? I think you're a stenographer. Between the question of whether you're incompetent or whether you're lying, I think you knew that the government was arming terrorists. I just think you didn't tell. Meaning I think you're lying. And on this, whether I think you got caught lying in this case and just didn't want to say anything about it, or let's say not caught lying. Let's say you fucked up because Bernie Sanders didn't say it, and maybe you were jumping the gun because you said, "Ooh, I want to nail Bernie Sanders and Ocasio Cortez. God, she's a star flying so bright. I want to nail it. I want to nail it. I want to nail it." Not in a sexual way. Just I want to nail it. And you jump the gun. You get called on it on Twitter, and instead of recanting, because they're right, they're absolutely right. They nailed you on it. Because the point that they made to Jake Tapper was, Sanders never said that the government was going to save $2 trillion. He said that overall, we were going to save $2 trillion. Nothing that Sanders said was wrong. Jake Tapper did this piece as if something that both of them said was wrong. That's BS. And play the video. Again, I'm not going to play Jake Tapper's face because I don't want you to be entranced by it. And I don't want them to copyright strike this video. Apparently I need to play nice. They've put a rope around me. At least they're trying to. Let's flip over
CNN State of the Union and
to a Jake.
factcheck.org. And this week we're going to take a look at a claim made by two self-identified Democratic socialists, Vermont Independent Senator Bernie Sanders and New York congressional candidate Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. They
That's what he put up. Misleading Medicare for all claims. Misleading Medicare for all claims. You're saying that they're lying. That's what you're saying. Right off the bat. Let's keep going. I just want you to see the framing of this. I just want you to see the framing. Let's keep going.
They say that a study funded by the billionaire Koch brothers, who are generally, I think it's fair to say, libertarians and conservatives, that the Medicare for All proposal would actually save the government money.
Let me thank the Koch brothers, of all people, for sponsoring a study that shows that Medicare for All would save the American people $2 trillion over a 10-year period.
Stop. $2 trillion over a 10-year period. That's what he said. $2 trillion. I would like to thank the Koch brothers for funding a study that would fund the government. Fund the American taxpayers $2 trillion over a 10-year period. I just want to be clear. I want to nail that down. Bang that in with a hammer. Because the next part that you're going to hear is be like, what just took place?
It shows that Medicare for All is actually much cheaper than the current system that we pay right now.
Is that true? Did a study funded by the Koch brothers indicate that?
Medicare for All is cheaper than the amount we pay. That's what Ocasio Cortez said. Just again, banging that in with a hammer. $2 trillion, the American taxpayer, Medicare for All is cheaper than the amount we pay. Let's go back to Jake. Let's let Jake do his thing.
Medicare for All would actually save the U.S. government trillions of dollars? No, it's not true, at least not according to the author of the study.
Who said save the government? Nobody said save the government. Nobody in what Jake Tapper just displayed, neither Bernie Sanders nor Alexandria Ocasio Cortez, said save the government. Jake Tapper is saying something else. He set a standard that neither one of them said, at least neither one of them said, in what he just did. So, understand what I'm saying. What Jake Tapper said here is not true. It may be true that it doesn't necessarily save the government. That may indeed be true. Bernie Sanders and Ocasio Cortez, neither one of them said save the government. Both of them said save the American people. They were specific in their wording. Jake Tapper is refuting an argument that somebody else made. Let's keep going. This gets worse.
The study in question is a working paper from the Mercatus Center at George Mason University that looked at the 10-year impact of Senator Sanders' proposed Medicare for All plan. Now, while it's true that the Koch brothers have given millions of dollars to the Mercatus Center at George Mason University, and an AP investigation earlier this year suggested that the Koch brothers do have control and influence over the hiring and firing of professors, we should note, for whatever it's worth, the authors of this study said the Koch brothers did not influence them in any way. We asked Senator Sanders' spokesperson. He told us that while the study says Medicare for All would increase the federal budget by roughly $32 trillion, it also says that the projected cost of all healthcare expenditures in the U.S. would drop by $2 trillion. The study's author says that $2 trillion drop is not actually his conclusion. He said that's based on assumptions made by Senator Sanders.
The odd part about this is, so what? All of this is assumptions. All of this is assumptions, Jake. There's no fucking crystal ball. All of this is assumptions. All of these people are looking at this and saying, if this is true, then this is true, then this is true, then we'll save this. All of these things are assumptions or projections. I gotta be honest, I don't particularly care. A government makes a decision on what it wants to do and it fucking does it. If you want to supply healthcare for all, that's a technical question. What's the cheapest way to make sure each and everybody has healthcare? And you do it. You may not necessarily be able to do it exactly in the same way that you do it now, but you may get something better while having some deficiencies in other areas. There's no such thing as a perfect solution, particularly not in a capitalistic system where healthcare and items like that are going to be held under this kind of capitalistic model. So, no, there's no perfect solution. But what Sanders' plan is talking about is saving the American population money. It saves them cash. The amount of money that they pay for healthcare goes down. Do you realize the debt that businesses take on, meaning the amount of money that they have to pay for healthcare of the people? Other countries don't have to do that. When you're at your job, the amount of money you have to pay for healthcare and everything else, we pay twice as much as any other nation for healthcare. Twice as much, Jake. Now, you may not have an issue with that because you have a fucking CNN salary. But for people who don't have a CNN salary, who barely making ends meet, yeah, healthcare eats into their life. Fucking newsface Jake Tapper in a goddamn glass crystal house. I find this to be an amazing argument that people are having in this country on whether or not other people should have health care. Just do it. Just do it. It is a technical question. Other countries around the globe have done it, meaning the model is set that it can be done. You just need to do it. You just need to have the impetus to do it. The problem here is Jake Tapper is a millionaire. The people who Jake Tapper work with are millionaires. The people who Jake Tapper talks with every day are millionaires. He may bump into the person who he may hit on at the Starbucks counter when he's getting his coffee, or in this place or that place getting his donut. But ultimately, the people that he deals with is of a rarefied air. He rubs shoulders with governments and government types. Completely removed from real issues and real things. If you want to get healthcare done, you do it. You're spending $1 trillion a year murdering people abroad, and you're really quibbling about how you get healthcare done. Hey, you want to start by raising taxes? That'll do it. Start there. If you want to start by going after, the people who pay 15% tax on capital gains, hey, you might want to start there. There are all sorts of places you can start, even under the capitalistic model itself, if you want to provide for those things. You just have to have the fortitude to do it. Just have to have fortitude to do it. Jake doesn't want his taxes to go up. Let's keep going.
In fact, he wrote, quote, "It is likely that the actual cost of Medicare for All would be..."
Oh, by the way, now he's asking a right-winger. He's gone from saying, Bernie Sanders said this, which Bernie Sanders never said, to now quoting a right-winger and saying, hey, right-winger, hey, Koch. I always have a hard time saying that word for some reason. Koch brothers. Hey, Koch brother, right-winger, libertarian right-winger. What do you think about Bernie Sanders' healthcare plan? What do you think about that? What do you think about that right-winger? You hard right-winger, you. What do you think about that? Let's get some fair and unbiased information from you. Listen to this. This is fucking nonsense.
Substantially greater than these estimates, which assume significant administrative and drug cost savings under the plan, and also assume that healthcare providers operating under Medicare for All will be reimbursed at rates more than 40% lower than those currently paid by private health insurance. In fact, he lays out an alternate scenario that does not include savings from provider payment cuts And in that scenario, the report says that there would be a net increase in healthcare spending. Now, we're not here to make a judgment on the viability of Medicare for all, and
You just did, Jake. You just did. This report just did. A, you said something that wasn't true. That's first point. You created a standard that Sanders and Ocasio Cortez never created, and you never even retracted it. And you put up a sign when this first started saying misleading statements, essentially by Bernie Sanders and Ocasio Cortez. Then you go to a right winger, a hard right winger, and ask them, hey, what do you think about Bernie Sanders' healthcare plan? You hard right winger, you. Well, I think it's far more expensive than what that socialist says it is. I think it's far more expensive than what that socialist says it is. 40%, 50%, shit, 80% more. I mean, I think it's going to be dramatically more. There's no way we can afford this. Please don't raise my taxes. Please don't raise my taxes. That's what this all boils down to. Do you understand? You can have... I know I say this all the time, but I say it because it's absolutely true. It's true in a flat fact way. You can have whatever world you want, providing you're willing to deal with the consequences of that world. This is the world that we have. And I should say the consequences of the arrangement. I'm thinking of this from the standpoint of chess pieces and the way people have arranged themselves. The way the energy of a game processes itself and flows. We've arranged it ourselves in somewhat of a peculiar way. It's aggravating. The world does not have to look this way. You have all of this wasted energy. I think of all the people that are in these war zones that are dying and fighting and killing. I think of all these people who are divided along these various lines. All this wasted energy. Think of the shit that could be built. Think of the places like the engineers, all that, the stuff, the science. We waste fucking time. We can't even agree that if people get sick, they should be able to get health care without getting some kind of debt placed over them, some kind of burden that they're going to have to carry with them for the rest of their life, like Scarlet Letter. It's fucking insane. I can't believe we allow shit like this. When I was in Egypt, I remember I was in Cairo. I was on a camel. The camel wasn't well fed. It was mistreated. I hated being on that fucking camel once I realized the camel was being mistreated. They have a different sensibility about that. And I remember the guy turned back to me and he said, "Go Obama." And I thought, yeah. And my thinking was, Obama's pushing healthcare. That's going to be a cakewalk. I understand why I thought that. And stupid me. I thought it was going to be a cakewalk because I thought the majority of people would prefer healthcare. Between living in a society where, hey, congratulations, you were born an American. Your birthright is civilization. You're going to get fucking healthcare, buddy. Yes! I'm going to get healthcare. Yes, you're going to get healthcare because you're an American. That's how much we care about the citizenry in this country. You're better than all these other fucks. You're exceptional. You're getting healthcare. We don't do that. We don't do that. You're rugged individualists, and you either die on the street alone or, you figure this shit out. My wife, the other day, said, yeah, I'm not going to go back to a doctor's appointment because I don't want to pay the copay. Meaning, I don't want to pay the bill associated with going back to for health care, even though I need health care. Think about how fucked up that is in a society. You go to one because the health assessment is free. You decide you don't want to go to the other one because you have to pay for it a second time around. In which case you say, yeah, I don't want to pay that second bill. This is our society. This is a picture of our society. I'm asking you, is this really the society that you want? Why do you want people who are like you, go to bed like you, have sex like you, eat food like you, eat their cereal in the morning like you, stump their toe in the same way you stump your toe? Why do you want their life to be harder? Within the things that make us human beings, our fuck-ups and foibles, definitely one of them. Do you really want healthcare to be left to the hands of people just purely to make profit? That's what I'm asking. I'm asking because what Jake Tapper is talking about, what that right-winger is talking about when he's saying, well, price is going to drop 40%, it's because a lot of the fluff in the price and what we pay, it's just fluff. It's shit that doesn't have to be there. Medicare can take over. Health insurance companies are leeches. They're complete leeches. Medicare can take over the responsibility of all of those health insurance companies. Now, if you are an individual, if you're a person, there should be universal health care. The thing that's always aggravating to me about this conversation is if the military wants to spend money, done. Nobody thinks twice about it. Hey, let's make sure each and every American in this country have health care. And let's build an infrastructure to make sure that works. Governmental infrastructure to make sure that works. Something like the National Health Service in Britain, but a real fully funded one. I'm not saying get rid of private enterprise in the healthcare market entirely. But yeah, a government-run service to some degree. Oh, we can't afford it. We can't afford it. $1 trillion. But we can't afford it on shit that actually we need. Look at this. This is a conversation on Twitter with Tapper. Brian Spielberg. Hey, Jake Tapper, the claim you call false here is true. The $2 trillion savings is in the Mercatus tables and is part of the very scenario that pitched to the media outlets. And Matt Brewing has repeatedly pointed out, see People's Policy Project, please make a corrected video. Essentially, fix your face, Jake. Fix your face. We'll discuss your tweet and the info in the link with our fact check team. Thanks. You do that, Jake. You and your fact check team do that. So, Spielberg responds. Ben Spielberg responds. You bet, Matt has written a full series on this. Mercatus wants to do over because they were hoping people would focus on the government spending figure and not the national health spending figure, but the number was definitely theirs. Thanks for taking another look. Now, understand why he's saying this. Jake Tapper just had a right-winger get on television without any pushback to say that, yeah, I mean, that number would be far, far higher. I mean, far, far higher. And that number wasn't mine. And I don't, oh God, yeah, I don't know. Don't focus on the other stuff that we wrote. But it was theirs. It was theirs. And he's right. Jake Tapper didn't have either the forethought, the good sense to say, maybe this right-winger is not going to give me a real deal on this. Maybe this is not going to be the fairest source of information. I mean, yeah, they did that prior, but the thing that people kept focusing on and hammering on had to do with, people saved money in this. Even in the Koch brothers chart, people save money. They didn't like that. They didn't like that. Stupid them. And incompetent Jake Tapper for allowing something like that to be on the airwaves. No, I don't think it was incompetence. I think it was intentional. Jake Tapper. So we reviewed everything. His fact check team reviewed it. I love that fact check team. I love that. I love that. I love that. They got a fact check team. I have a fact check team too. So we reviewed everything and we stand by everything I said in the video. I do, however, take issue with the graphic in the piece that says false, since our conclusion was far more nuanced. And I never said the word, so I asked them to remove the graphic. It was more than a graphic, Jake. It was more than a graphic. The entire insinuation of the entire video was that they were saying something wrong. That something they were saying was false. Nothing that Ocasio or Sanders said was false. That makes your entire video wrong. It's not nuanced. You're wrong. You're completely and utterly wrong. You went after them on something that they never asked, never said. Never said at all. He's calling you on it. And I understand it. You're a newsman. Trump keeps calling you fake news. You have that news face. And you don't want that news face on television telling people that you fucked up. I get it. I'm Jake Tapper and I fucked up. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes making those videos. A fucked up video. Especially coming from the fact check team. The fact check didn't get his facts checked. Let's keep going. Fact check team, my ass. Matt Brewing. Jake, you cannot claim that Bernie said the government would save $2 trillion. He did not say that. Instead, he said Americans would overall save $2 trillion. Look at the video clip of Bernie again. This is undeniably a false representation of Bernie's claim. Straight up. Straight up. Because if it was straight down, it'd be something else. But fuck it, it's straight up. Ryan Grimm. Not to pile on, but everything hinges on whether Sanders and Ocasio Cortez said the study found M4A will save the government $2 trillion. I've never seen Sanders or Ocasio make that claim. It's about overall costs. Everybody is hitting Tapper on this because Jake Tapper is wrong. Jake Tapper is wrong. We cited the quotes in the piece. Sanders, let me thank the Koch brothers of all people for sponsoring a study that shows Medicare for all will save the American people $2 trillion over a 10-year period. Have a good weekend. That's what he said. Yes, that's the quote. The American people. He didn't say the government. The American people. Jake, you fucked up. You fucked up. Ben Spielberg. But Jake, as we noted, the study does find that Sanders' plan will save the American people $2 trillion over 10 years. Government costs go up, obviously, but national health expenditures goes down. That's what Mercatus wrote. Sanders was correct. That's fucking amazing. That's fucking amazing. Jake fucking Tapper. Is he incompetent or is he lying? Which one is it? Which one is it? It's fucking amazing. Jake Tapper. Jake Tapper. I'll leave it on that. I've dwelled far too long on this. That's fucking annoying. Because this is the shit that's going out on the airways. The goal is to try to move the American public to the point where they realize that this is not only a good thing, but a necessary thing. You have the most of the public saying yes. Fact is, we spend $1 trillion a year on military. I'm talking about everything. Black budget, the works. And you bring up saving money on healthcare because, yeah, we are spending a shitload of money on healthcare. And they flip out. And Jake Tapper comes out with a hit piece. Lying. Yeah, I'm calling it lying because the first time around might have been a fuck up. Not correcting it makes it a lie. Especially when somebody brought it to his attention. What's the goal? What's the goal? Jake Tapper, ladies and gentlemen. I'll leave it at that. And by the way, this right here, Jake Tapper talking to Tulsi Gabbard, that's when Jake Tapper lost me. Like, everything that I thought of Jake Tapper drained out of me in one fell swoop with that interview. Because that's not a situation where Jake Tapper is, I am listening to you and I wasn't there. You're telling me information about something from that place that you went. And you're telling me that we're army terrorists. Jake Tapper is pushing back on a narrative. Not a narrative. Jake Tapper is pushing back on absolute truthful information. She's giving him truthful information. Jake Tapper's reflexive response is to push back against that information. I find that to be amazing. What is your goal and what is your job as a newsman? Is it to tell the truth or is it to be a stenographer? And in that very instance, saying that the government said X when somebody is giving you information that is absolute information from somebody who's actually there, a source. I find that to be fucking amazing. But yeah, Jake Tapper. And in this case, trying to put a knife in Sanders. Jake fucking Tapper. Alright. There's a reason people dislike the media. There's a reason they're crying. There's a reason people dislike the media. I often wonder how many people watch this. And yet still, what other percentage believes it, if that makes sense. I'm not on that bandwagon when I think the influence of mainstream media for the most part is just kind of nil. I don't think that at all. I think you can ask the question of what's the point in TV at this point. I gotta be honest, we don't watch TV for anything other than streaming, which is an internet service. That's not necessarily a television from the standpoint of the regular, typical television. But I suppose there are people that watch TV in the sense of traditional television. I don't know how many people watch this. And even still, how many people believe it. And I don't know their influence. Alright, I'm going to end this. Alright, guys. If you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. Of course, you can always support through Patreon. I'll leave you with images of Jake. Jake eventually tweeted again, putting some blame on the factcheck.org article he used, but he still didn't retract the statement. Yeah, he needs to do another video retracting it. I mean, how do you blame factcheck.org when you're calling yourself the fact check team? His fact check team didn't know? His fact check team fucked up? Is that what he's saying? If your fact check team fucked up, just say it. My fact check team fucked up. That's what I want him to say. I want Jake Tapper to come on that set, exact same set, and say, look, I got to be honest with you guys, my fact check team fucked up. I'm sorry, I'm Jake Tapper. I would have so much respect for Jake Tapper if he did that. You have no idea how much respect I would have for Jake Tapper if he said that. It would be funny as all hell to hear the words fact check team fucked up. I will get some enjoyment out of that. But I don't think I'm ever going to see that. And blaming his fact check team is kind of, own it. Own it. He's having a go at these guys. You should own it. Alright, you guys are finding Jake Tapper handsome, so I'm going to end it on this. Have a good night, guys.